Alright, hello, welcome to the Trade Game channel. This is Daniel. It's February the 1st, 2025, and we're going to talk about trading cryptocurrency. Specifically, this video is going to be talking about what I think is going on with Cardano, with ADA. We have a bot trading this currency, and it's, excuse me, let me sip of my beverage here. It's got a grid that's kind of high up, higher than I really think it actually needs to go, and so I'm looking for an opportunity to close this bond, but I'm letting it trade until it actually goes into profit, more of a profit, before I consider closing it. It's an 8 times leveraged bot, and so that's why our liquidation value is a little closer to the price action than some of our other lower leverage bots are, around 79 cents roughly. That's where it currently is, as indicated by this red line. And the green area, as with all our other videos, is the grid in which the bot is trading. It does not indicate that it's in profit or loss. In fact, it's actually in loss right now. As you can see, we've had some bearish movement in the last couple of days. Now, let me explain. So, ADA, along with a lot of other cryptocurrencies, had a good November following the election, had a big price movement to the upside, and is now doing price exploration, right? It looks to me like we've kind of had a nice sweep down and hopefully cleared out all of our liquidity from the big pump, or at least enough of it to satisfy the market with that inefficiency. And then since then, on the daily, to me at least, it had looked to me like we were forming a wedge, which is a thing that happens after a big sudden price movement. And then it had appeared to me that we had broken out to the upside from this wedge. And then, as I've explained a few times on the channel, often when this happens, it seems to me that a bunch of people enter longs thinking, okay, cool, well, it's broken out of its wedge, but then it have a tendency to actually sweep the other direction and close out everyone's orders. And then sometimes it will become bullish after that. It will pump after that. But of course, this is all sort of speculative. You could also say that this broke out, but then failed to really find support after the breakout, and then that's why the price crashed. So, also a valid way of looking at this. So what I have done, at least in terms of my analysis of this currency, I have adjusted this wedge pattern to take into account the new high and the new low. So what we've kind of got here is the breakout and then the sweep in the opposite direction. But this sweep, you see, still set a higher low than here. And so if we do find support along this trend line, then this may actually be fine in terms of the price of ADA. We also managed, you'll notice, with the breakout to set a higher high here than our previous one. And so we can still sort of argue that perhaps this is the sign of a change in character, that instead of our downwards correction, we might start trending upwards, although at the moment we're looking to see ADA find some support and seeing if it will if it'll hold up. We had come down and touched this trend line around 75.6 cents, and it looks like we're coming down for another retest of that support level. And so we may perhaps find some support right around 87 or so cents, roughly. Perhaps, or we may just kind of go down to the 85-cent level and just find support there again. We will see what happens in the next couple of days with ADA will be sort of interesting. I of course, given that my bot's liquidation value is right here, would prefer it to move to the upside, but we'll kind of have to see just sort of generally what happens. The fact that we did set a higher high here, though, is a very encouraging sign. We had a nice big long wick, so the price here went down to this point, but it also pushed all the way back up. Um, Not enough to make it a green candle, of course, but it did do that. Ranged up and then down a little bit here. Um, and so, depending on whether or not we find support here, uh, we may see bullish movement. It may be a time to enter along on Cardano, but it does sort of depend. I would say it depends on whether or not we find support here along this trend line. Um, Now, well, instead of doing that, I suppose what I could talk about is kind of with a lot of these assets, it is necessary, as much as it's sort of tedious to always go back to Bitcoin. It is sort of necessary to remember that Bitcoin is the flagship cryptocurrency in the market, and things tend to be affected. When Bitcoin does one thing or another, it often affects other coins. And ADA being a sibling coin, brother coin, sister coin, whatever you want to say, to Bitcoin, that also means that you kind of have to look at Bitcoin a little bit. Bitcoin has been bearish lately. It's had a downwards correction, but it's probably going to want to pop back up a little bit here and satisfy some of these value gaps that were created by this bearish move over the last couple of days. And so we may perhaps see a reversal candle here and see at least a little bit of a retracement upwards. Now, whether or not it's going to come up above, um, up and sort of like test this trend line around $106,000 is debatable with Bitcoin, but at least for the time being, it seems that we're sort of hanging right around this price level and trying to come back up and fill in some of these inefficiencies created by the downwards move. So we have had an impulse downwards in Bitcoin recently, and you can see the same thing in ADA. Um, Bitcoin has been kind of hanging around the 100,000 to 105,000 range lately, and other coins have been sort of seeing a challenge as Bitcoin has been flagging as kind of not moving upwards, but also not really moving downwards. So altcoins have been hurting a bit lately, meaning that it might be a good time to buy some if you were looking to buy stuff in spot or open longs. But of course, that's all entirely on you. We do not give financial advice here. Please do your own research. This is just my speculative analysis of the market. So you may be able to go long on Cardano here if it finds support around this trend line. If that happens for me, that would be great. I would love it if Cardano would have a nice pump up and at least come up and try to challenge this trend line or perhaps set a higher high. Because it would allow me to close the bot, take some profit, and start a new one with a narrower grid. Um, Not to say that I couldn't just start one now if I felt like it, but we'll see how it goes. Um, so for the sake of argument, I've debated doing this before, but I suppose we can now. Let's speculatively say that we're going to plan along on Cardano. This would be probably a swing long, 3 to 5 times leverage. And let's talk about how we might do that if we were to do that. Um, not actually doing this myself. I'm just paper trading here, which is to say, I'm pretending that I'm going to enter position, and we're just going to watch and see if it turns out to be a good one. Um, so if I were to consider entering on ADA, um, we've had a breakout to the upside of this wedge. It looked like up here. Tried to find some support. Kind of set a high, but then ended up falling down to beneath the wedge and kind of coming to rest roughly on this trend line here, popping back up. Now we're going to see if we find support on that same trend line, and if we can set kind of a higher low than this one. So when it comes to setting along on this, honestly, what I would say is don't set along on this one. You kind of want to see if this thing actually finds support or not, because it may not find support. Um, so what would I say? Well, um, if you were going to try to start a position on this, speculatively, what I would probably say is we're looking for this thing to set a higher low, probably around here, hopefully, maybe. Um, if it will likely, there's a good chance it'll retest and then hopefully come back up here, although there's no real way to tell reliably. But we'll be looking for it to set a higher high than this high right here. So if you were going to enter into a long position, it may come down here and range a little bit and then continue down or go sideways. And so we really want to see it showing momentum to the upside before we really consider going into a long. So what I would say is that we would want this to be breaking this high level if we were to enter along on this coin. So what I would do, I would take my long tool here and say, okay, we want it to break this high at least in order to enter a long position. Interesting. Why did it create a long that looks like that? Huh. All right, trading view. So, whatever. Our entry price, let's see. Let's put this to kind of a more reasonable level, just so that we can kind of get things where we can click on them and grab them. All right. So, doing this on the hourly chart, our entry price we'd want to set at roughly up above this high. And so let's call it 91.25 cents, right? If it gets up into this area. So what I would do is place a trigger at 91.25 cents to place an order to buy at 91.25 cents. So if the price gets up to this level, then a limit order for that price would be set and be executed. If you place a limit order right now without a trigger, it'll probably just fill the order, and then so you'd be in a long position right off the bat. And that's not really what we're looking for. We're looking for, just speculatively, to enter a long position, but only if it comes back up and breaks a higher high than this. Now, you could argue that this is a bit premature, and really you'd want it to make a higher high than it did here. So you could also set a trigger at a start point for your long at around like 98 cents, and that would be a little bit less. That would be a little bit more conservative, but not a terrible idea because this might come down here, find support, range upwards, set a lower high than here, and then go back down. Um, but for the time being, let's say that we could enter a trade, and we'll set our stop loss for this trade. The low that we came down to previously is 85.55 cents. So 85 cents. I'm going to have a stop. Maybe a little bit higher than that. Maybe 85.5 cents, something like that. A little bit lower because realistically, yeah, it's a little bit lower. If the price breaks below this low point, we probably don't want to be in the trade because that means that it will have set a lower low than it was at before. Actually, let me go ahead and make it a little closer. Yeah, because if it breaks below this lowest low here, it will necessarily have set a lower low than the previous one, which is a bearish sign. Not to say that it won't find support, but that you can set your stop loss kind of around that area. Another thing that you could do, depending on how sort of daring you are with this, you could also set your stop loss a bit below, just in the event that this does, when trying to find support, kind of push up. But kind of leave that up to you guys. I'll just leave that where it is. And if you were to be interested in this sort of trade, you can make up your own mind about that. Risk to reward ratio currently is 1.27. So where are we going to set our take profit for this one? Well, you could set it kind of somewhere like here. It's not a very good risk to reward ratio, really, relatively speaking. But although from the standpoint of just doing a conservative trade, I mean, if it does come up and set kind of a higher high up here and then go down, you might be able to take profit before that happens. But nah. I mean, really, if you get into this trade and the price goes up and it's in profit and you're watching it, you should be setting a stop loss like at break even or somewhere a little bit above, maybe going here anyway, if the trade is going well. So I wouldn't be super concerned about it. Like, so what I'm saying is that if you're swing trading this and you open this position, if this trigger does go off, and this does seem to be trending upwards, once the price gets above this level and you go into your position, once that position is in profit, say around 92 cents, 93 cents, you should be placing a stop loss, moving your stop loss from down here up to somewhere more like 92 cents or 91 cents maybe, 92 cents, 91 and a half, 92 cents. That way, even if the price does come back down, you will at least get out of the trade and have made a very small amount of money, enough to cover your trading fees at least. And even if the price comes up here, you move your stop loss to around break even or a little above, and then the price goes down, hits your stop loss, and then goes back up, that's fine. It's fine. It's totally fine to have to get out of a trade with just a little bit of profit, and then have it go your way, and you go, oh gosh, I could have made so much money. That's okay. It's the losing trades that we really need to watch out for. Missed opportunities are really not that big a deal, generally speaking. But if you are really paranoid about doing that sort of thing, you could set your stop loss right at break even or a little bit below. It's kind of up to you guys, but that is sort of my general take on that one. Anyhow, so our take profit for this one, usually your take profit, you kind of want, the standard is about like 1.5 times risk reward ratio. So that's pretty reasonable in this case. You have a high right here, here. If you kind of go back out to the daily chart and look at what we've actually set up with this long, you can kind of see how the 1.5 risk to reward ratio gives you a target that coincides pretty well with where this original wedge started out. And so, if we do find resistance down here, as we may, as I'm sort of speculating we might, and then come up above and break the daily candle and go above that, then what we're speculatively saying is that the price may then continue upwards to challenge its resistance around here. And so we would want to buy in if it is trending upwards. And then we would take profit somewhere around here where this our previous wedge came in, and you could kind of make it a little more like that, something like that, and hopefully safely take profit before it potentially hits resistance right here. Now, the other thing that you can do, and that I would suggest this, if you're watching this trade and it goes up to here, and you're not sure what to do, don't necessarily, you can not close the trade out necessarily right away. What you can do instead is set a stop loss at our take profit level, which would be, let's see, our take profit level would be $1 and 1 cent or 2 cents. 1.0186 is what we currently have set. So here is the entry price that I'm suggesting for our paper trade, which is not one that I'm entering in, but since we're talking about the coin, I might as well set one and see if it pans out later. Is here. Stop loss is here. And take profit is here, which is to say if it gets above this price, that I would set a stop loss for that price. And then if the price continues to go up, then great. And if it goes back down, then you'll just hit your stop loss and take profit at that level. Okay, so this is what I think is currently going on with Cardano ADA. Thank you for watching. This is the Trade Game channel. I'm Daniel. It's February 1st. Please do subscribe to the channel so you'll get updates when we make a new one of these. Please click the like button. That helps to bring more people into our community, get more attention for us. And yeah, God be with you. Please be good to one another, and I will talk to you later.